We're back at you with another amazing live here. So this is going to be one that you're going to want to pay attention to, especially if you own a coaching business or an agency, which you guys all should have, even those SaaS agencies as well. We're going to be sitting down with my man Jason here. Cody and I will be wrapping it out with him. We're going to talk about the journey. This is supposed to be like sort of a training on the questions that we're going to ask and kind of give you some information, but also understanding the journey of what it actually takes. So those are the two things I want you to look for is education that you're going to learn along the way, but also understanding the short run and the long run game of running an actual business versus what doesn't exist, which is magic bullets, right? And we want to avoid those because once you understand magic bullets don't exist, then your patience will kick in and then you'll be even more driven because you won't give up. You'll know the process, the journey, and what it takes when something doesn't work on how to make it work really quickly. Anyways, if you're here, welcome to the GSD. Welcome to the K Nation group, which is now the GSD as well. Let us know if you're here live or if you're here on the replay, #live, #replay. We're going to be talking about Jason. He's come a long way with us and his partner. I think it's been a couple years now at this point. So you're kind of like getting into the OG category now.
Are we finally achieved OG status? God, it's about freaking time.
Yeah, it's capital O, little G though. Like another
Okay.
couple months, you'll get that big G.
I'll take that.
No, I'm just kidding. You're an OG. Your family. We've hung out before. Really cool dude. Fun to work with. But what's impressive is just like we've never crossed a bridge where there was like a problem where it was even crossed your mind, crossed your partner's mind, where it was like, what are we doing? This isn't working. It was always solution, solution, solution. And it went from like when we started 500 and tacos and stuff like that. I always bring up Alvin's tacos. I love that story he talked about. And then now we're in a whole different atmosphere and stratosphere of like where you've come. So we're going to kind of document that journey a little bit through this live. But anyways, whoever's out there, smash some hearts. You're going to love this content. Smash the like button. Drop who you are. Like, I mean, I get your name, but like, what do you do and who do you serve? What do you do and who do you serve? And when you get this information, you're going to realize our principles that Jason's going to talk about, Cody's going to talk about. It doesn't matter your industry. It doesn't matter if you're working with doctors, you're working with athletes, you're selling SaaS to realtors. And honestly, it's the overall formula and methodology, kind of like Phil Jackson's triangle offense. We just plug the pieces in and we adapt it to that industry. So we're going to learn a bit here. So it's going to be half training, half interview. Awesome. Well, anyways, that was a mouthful. So Jason, why don't you got to give a brief background on yourself so we can kick things off?
Yeah, appreciate the intro. My partner Alvin and I, we've had an agency here for about 5 years now. And I mean, we basically fumbled around and, made a lot of mistakes over the last, for a second there, that's how I would present it. Oh, we fumbled around and made a lot of mistakes. But after I've been listening to a lot of Hormozy lately, and I've now realized that we've just been building a bigger foundation than everybody else, which means now that we've actually found our niche, found our groove, I can build a bigger and better building than everybody else or than my neighbors, because we've taken the time and made so many mistakes. And like you said, stuck through it. Alvin and I, that's what I like about Alvin. There's not a no. Like I can come up with some stupid harebrained idea that, and Alvin's like, well, that hasn't been done. And it's just like, well, you're a smart guy. Let's figure it out. And I think through that point of learning through the mistakes, getting through all those tough times where most people are going to give up, we've now, seen the fruits of our labor, niche down into the addiction treatment center, which, anybody listening to this, everybody's going to tell you to niche down. I thought I was better than everybody else for a while and didn't have to niche down. And let's just say my checkbooks or my checking account severely felt that for a while now. And now that we've niched down, now that we hired one of you guys' you guys placed one of an appointment setter for us, things are really starting to come. All those mistakes that we've been making all those years, it's just accelerating stuff so much faster now that we didn't give up and sticking with it and sticking with you guys and, asking for help when needed.
Yeah, and building that bigger foundation is absolutely key because that's what it takes. Every human is going to not listen to logic and reason, and they're going to always let their ego start. I can do anything. I'm the fucking greatest, right? Like the only greatest is right behind me over here, Muhammad Ali, the little picture. If you're not Muhammad Ali, you're not the greatest. You're learning. Every stage we're learning. But yeah, I agree 100%. Everybody's like, well, I can do SEO. I can do it for the world just because one fucker hired me, right? And I got two, like a handyman and a doctor. Now I'm all of a sudden I can do any industry. Yeah, there's riches in niches, and the value of your agency will incrementally skyrocket when you try to sell it. So if you understand those principles today on this live, your valuation goes up if you master an industry, and you want to exit at some point in life. If you want to be broad, you better get to Gary V's level, which most of y'all aren't. You're not going to be worth $1 billion. And that's
No,
the only way broad agencies can actually exit with a high valuation.
yeah, I mean the whole broad agency thing. I mean, you can't talk. You try to talk to everybody, nobody's going to listen. You know, people want an expert. If you're dealing like an addiction treatment center, I can literally go in and now talk about it intelligently. I know how much VOBs are getting. I know how much they're expecting to get an actual admission for. I know all that, and I can talk their language versus trying to learn everything. Where now I can take what used to be a maybe an hour-long discovery call, fumbling through stuff. It's like, boom, I can step in, I can ask 4 or 5 questions, get them talking, and within 15 minutes, I'm going to know if this is somebody that's worth this conversation and keep going on, or if I just cut my losses, which would just be my time at that point, and bow out gracefully and move on to the next one. And that's where the niching down comes in, where you're not trying to make every deal work. It's, hey, do you qualify to work with me? If that's the case, then let's continue this conversation. If not, I need to go find somebody else that qualifies to work with me. And that's where I think that mental switch for any other marketing agency out there: stop trying to qualify, stop trying to sell yourself to the client, and stop trying to figure out what type of clients need to sell themselves to you. And I know that's not always the scenario. Clients aren't going to sell themselves for you, but you almost have to have that kind of mentality where you're the expert, they want you more than you want them. And I think that's the biggest thing with niches, when you really are confident that you are the industry expert.
Yeah, especially with like the swagger and confidence you can go in with. It's because you now have the results. It's finally the commitment to the relationship of the industry. Now you can go into mastery, because if you have a toe in the swimming pool of like multiple industries, you're never going to be good at any of them, because while the service may be the same, the problems are different, the lingo's different, the customer service is different, the emails are different. Their emotions are different. But when you understand one masterful category, one category you can be a master in, or lead to become masters in, you get to know everything, and then they feel it through the phone.
Yeah,
You use their acronyms. Yeah.
And I'm not saying be cocky. I'm not saying, hey, say you're the best. And I'm talking about having that confidence where at the end of your pitch, when you're legitimately solving a problem for them and they still say no, you have to be okay with saying, moving on to the next person and finding that yes, or finding a different way to resolve that problem. But just going in with that confidence, not cockiness,
Right.
that you do have they have a problem, because you know enough about the industry. There's a problem there, whether or not they know it or not. So you have to highlight that problem and show them you're the solution, and be confident as all fucking hell that you are the best solution for that
Yeah.
problem.
100%. Because I remember when like, just to key on top of what you're doing, or ride the coattail of it, when I went from like mastering like real estate for many years and being so good at a part of that marketing ecosystem, and went a little broad, it hurt us, because like I'm that good that I can do this in any industry. And it hurt having a dentist, a lawyer, 10,000 realtors, and then a bunch of other random industries, because it wasn't that it couldn't be sold. It was just really hard to do the delivery, because
Oh, dude,
everybody's service was hard.
I can take on a new addiction treatment client, and my team, we have the SOPs dialed in. I have Loom recorded for every line item SOP. There's a Loom video. Like literally all I have to do is get a treatment center to say yes. And Alvin and the team we're rock stars now in terms of fulfillment. And I can literally fulfill it and get an ad live in probably a week or so, where if a roofing company said, hey, we want to hire you, I'll pay you double what the addiction treatment center is paying you, I'd still probably say no, because I'm going to fumble around. I'm going to deliver half-ass results. I'm going to take twice as long to get it. And they're not going to be happy with me, even if they are trying to pay me double the money. The fulfillment side is, that's a whole different aspect of after the sales side. But yes, it's almost 10 times more important on the fulfillment side than it is the sales side to niche down, now that you brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah, the delivery is the key aspect, because getting the clients, a good salesperson can do it. But then when you're going to just lose them and fuck it all up anyways, then what's the point? Then you don't have the free time. You don't have a good night's sleep. You have the stress, the loneliness, the why me attitude. Like, why can't my clients get it? It's like,
Yeah,
that's not.
and you're burning your reputation all at the same time, when now the systems are in place. If somebody needs scripts for videos, ideas for videos, landing pages, I mean, it's all just turnkey and ready to go. And it's just a smoother
Turnkey.
turn.
Turnkey. Write that down in the audience. Smash turnkey. Type the fucking keyboard. It's turnkey. That is important word of the day of this whole thing. Fucking turnkey. If you can make your thing turn like a key, you can have a really successful agency, and then maybe consider joining the GSD too to help you turn up the sales. But
I
yeah,
think one of
that I like.
establishing yourself as the credibility, I think, is huge. I know one of the things we're running into in the addiction treatment space is credibility, because we're 6 months into this. We have 3 addiction treatment centers under our belt, with another half a dozen in some sort of negotiations or whatnot. But Alvin and I went ahead and built the bullet, and we're becoming HIPAA certified. We've had the HIPAA certifications on all the encryption on our GHL and everything. Even though we don't do any type of follow-up, no outgoing messages come from GHL out of our system, we're taking the precautions. We're getting our entire agency HIPAA verified or HIPAA certified, as well as each one of our staff members will all be HIPAA certified. So that way, hopefully, again, we just give that warm, fuzzy feeling to the clients, knowing that, hey, I can provide a HIPAA contract, HIPAA certification. So that way, everything involved in your business is being handled in the right way. That we're not just a fly-by-night agency trying to score a few bucks in the addiction treatment space.
Yeah, no, that credibility and certification is important, and you're timing it right, because now you have a level of success, you have a level of revenue where it now makes sense, where it's all in. This is it. This is where you can be the
Yeah.
authority in the space, right?
I'm either going to be an addiction treatment expert, or I'm going to be taking your order at Finney's next time you walk in there. there's no in between.
That's the attitude, man, and you're definitely not going to be taking my orders, because this shit's going to work. Now I want to go back in time. I want to put yourself like, maybe, I don't know what the time period was. It feels like it was a little over a year ago. I remember the conversation. I remember standing in my driveway having the conversation with you back then, when we were talking about picking your niche, and then you guys picked auto as the niche, and then Alvin's very next post was not that niche. I'm like, motherfucker, we just narrowed it down to a niche, and now they're back to everything again after 24 hours of a conversation of how important it was. Now that you've been through those, like the mindset of like picking the niche when you think you can do it all, like, how did you like get over that? How did you finally say, I'm not good at everything, I need to be great at something?
I mean, you can only get punched in the face so much till you have to duck and try something else, right? I mean, I guess that's the best analogy I have for that. It's I mean, it was almost like we had to. We were just we thought we were, the second we would see a little bit of a result in trying to be broad with our data and our proprietary pixel and all this cool stuff we have, then we would miss something, and a client would cancel and be like, oh shit, we should have known that, right? But we didn't know that because we weren't experts in that niche. And so it was almost by force than anything else. We had to. Otherwise, I don't think we would survive, or probably wouldn't be talking here. We had to make that move.
Right. And the message you sent me earlier when we were kind of scheduling this was about the GSD setter, and like how that process has panned out for you. Can you kind of just explain what that is or what that means?
Yeah, so that's been a home run for us. We last year, I don't know how much we spent on paid ads. I mean, I know we probably dropped about 20 grand in the last few months of the year targeting addiction treatment centers. But as every marketer on this call knows, B2B is a tricky one, right? B2C is substantially easier. The B2B, especially getting to a decision maker of an addiction treatment center, it's super, super difficult, and the paid ads just weren't working. So talking to Ben and yourself, we bit the bullet, brought Angie on board in December, probably about a month early, just because I frankly wasn't ready for her, but we got her trained. She learned about the business. And then starting in January, she's already landed 2 clients for us, and 100% of my 6 potential clients right now, or half a dozen, give or take, are all from her. We're spending $0 on paid ads right now. And everything is going through Angie. LinkedIn is big for us, Instagram, Facebook messaging. And then I'll be training her over the next couple of days to start picking up the phone and making phone calls for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Angie's a rock star. Like having her on the inner circle, like sales call and the setting call. I love that. Like the questions, the attention. Like I mean, the training she's putting in is leading to these types of pipelines and results.
Absolutely,
Now,
I love having her on. I love having her on the calls because it saves me a ton of time. Plus it's always good for you guys because what I like is I'll give her ideas, but then it's just between us. But then she gets on the phone call and gets like a whole different perspective, more ideas, and it's been super helpful. Not just having her, but then having her incorporated with your guys' training is key.
yeah, and I feel so comfortable with her and also you guys, where it's just like I'll tell her, I'll say, just do this. Jason's gonna approve it because I'm his proxy today, and I'm like, tell him later. Once it works, just tell him later. And I'm like, I feel like we have that trust factor built in already.
I jump in my LinkedIn mobile app every day when she checks out and I see the messages and I know I was like, that one definitely did not come from me. Like that's a Raul, that's a Ben, that's a Cody, that's a somebody. But again, I don't care. I mean, you know the goal. I mean, heck, if it's going to book appointments, you don't know what's going to work until it works. So but that's what I like because I can't think of everything on my own. We have to have a team effort here if we're going to scale as fast as we want to.
Yeah, and that it's fun to be with her, especially with Alvin popping in and out every day with his backgrounds in with whatever the fighter pilot, the chicken wings.
I was gonna say chicken wings and fighter pilots or the crazy hot chick matrix or whatever it is.
But going back to biting the bullet, so like that sounds like a pretty painful thing, but then ultimately we're our bullets are chewables, right? They're not actual like killer bullets, right? They grow you. So this was a bullet worth biting because it takes an investment. People have to spend money to make money. Saving money costs you money, and that's kind of what we do. Is we just so everybody knows in the audience, we Jason and Alvin are inside the inner circle. Our inner circle people get access to setters like that we place and train as well. And that's the bullet we're biting is we're investing in ourselves. That's all you're doing. You're making your life easier, sales better. You're getting rid of the do it all mentality once you're ready for that, right? Because if you do it all, you ain't doing shit. You're going to be telling your mom and your dad, your best friends, oh my God, I worked 14, 18 hours a day, thinking they give a fuck, thinking they're going to be impressed with your work ethic. But then when you look back at your bank account, does it reflect your hourly rate that you want? And if it doesn't, look in the mirror and reassess because that shit ain't smart.
Yeah, I agree. Biting the bullet was a difficult one. We right, it just so happens too, right after we said, okay, as of this month, like Alvin and I look, okay, no matter what, we're niching down. I think whatever we said, December 1st, whatever. And sure enough, like a week later, 2 people called me outside of the addiction treatment space and were like, hey, ready to move forward, $5K retainer, we'll pay your upfront fee. And I had to tell them no, because they would have completely detoured us down into 2 other niches that we knew very little about and would have had to learn and go through all this. And I don't know if we would have been able to land the other treatment centers or, be where we're at had we said yes to those and went after that, immediate dollar there in December, January.
Man, I'm so glad you said that because other people would chase that shit and they're going to lose.
We chased it. I mean, other people, I chased it for that is almost to the T how the last 4 years of Alvin and I went, hey, let's pick a niche. Here's our niche. We get a phone call. Oh yeah, we can do that. It's not in our niche, but we'll do it, and it's just, that's pretty much how we did until we finally learned how to say no, bite the bullet, as you're saying. And you gotta be willing to say no, but people will respect you more for that though, too. Cause now you're saying, hey, no, I'm all in on addiction treatment. It's just, you're now the industry expert. You're not the tradesman. You're not the, handyman that shows up. You're the actual licensed plumber that shows up to fix one specific task and charge 4 times more than the handyman guy that kind of knows what he's doing. And that's where
you're the specialist.
Yeah, I mean, and once you're the specialist, then you can charge like the specialist. It's like I know you've seen it on Facebook, the guy that walks in with the hammer, the old guy hits the engine once and sends a bill for like 20 grand. And, the guy's like, well, whatever, $1 to use my hammer and $19,999 for 40 years or for knowing where to hit, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I might have messed up that story, but I think you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean the idea is smart. If we can solve a big problem, we can charge a big price. And quite frankly, I think what you guys in the audience, what Jason does, what we do, and what we teach is the most important thing on the planet in terms of a service industry, because we keep businesses in business as marketers, as coaches. Because if a business can't get leads, think about what that goes on in their head. First, their head depletes. Am I worthy? I can't do this. I should be better. These other idiots are doing way better than me. And why me and not them? Or why them and not me? All that mental thought goes into you. Then it starts to go downhill from there once your mind's all fucked. But if you get them leads and they can learn how to answer the phones, learn how to have the automation systems, learn all this shit that you guys sell, and learn it from us. I mean, we're good at this. Like, hire us as the GSD to coach you how to get clients. But the impact that you're doing is like, you're paying for their children's fucking college degrees. You're paying for their vacations through the marketing and the leads that they would have never had if you didn't come across them, and taking away the negative that they have of the past of being skeptical of being burned by somebody else. Right. That's how powerful
Absolutely.
marketing is. It gets salespeople, sales leads, sales good. The better the salesperson, the more conversions. The worse the salesperson, the more they need to learn. And if they complain, then they're not the right person.
And I think when you're niching down, you actually have the opportunity to take it beyond just a hey, I'm going to provide you a lead and you pay me, where it's more of a partnership, where it's, hey, here's the lead, but hey, what's going on with your fulfillment system? You know, are you texting messaging? Are you incorporating AI text and conversations in your follow-up? Or are you just picking up the phone, calling the lead once? Oh, he didn't pick up, and hanging up. Are you getting into the head? Do you really know your clients? Are you, for example, with the addiction treatment space, it's really getting the treatment centers to not just post an ad, but hey, what are your clients going through, right? The person struggling with addiction right now is feeling like shit, feeling guilty, shameful, embarrassed, and everything else. So let's talk to that person, not just talk at them, but relate to them. Hey, it's okay. Addiction doesn't own you. It doesn't control you. You're more than your addiction. For example, in the addiction treatment space, I call it trust funnels. It's all about trust. We're not selling a pair of dunks to some kid for $100. It's a quick decision. Addiction's probably the most embarrassing thing that anybody can ever go through. Shame is the most stressful human emotion in the entire body. And that's literally what every addict is sitting there staring at, and their families and everybody else trying to help them. So we have to build trust. Nobody gives a shit if XYZ treatment center says XYZ treatment center is good. They want to hear from the clients that have been there. They want to see Google reviews. They want to hear from the guy that just left the treatment center and now owes his life to that treatment center and the ability to get in there. I was down in Laguna shooting for a treatment center, and they had some past clients in there. And I swear to God, I cried on two of them, because one of them, I can send you the video, but it was so good. The guy sat there and tried to say something recited. And then he was just like, you know what? He goes, I'm just going to be honest. He goes, I couldn't even walk into rehab. He goes, my family physically carried me into rehab. I was so drunk and intoxicated and I didn't want to go. But then I woke up the next day in rehab, not knowing where I was, but thank God I was there. And that's where I found my community. That's where I incorporated with other veterans, blah, blah, blah. And those are the types of stories that are going to get conversions and build trust and get people to engage with you, rather than just that generic ad with the, you see your typical rehab video,
Right.
wherever it is, it's just, some guy playing beach volleyball.
5-star
and this,
chefs and bullshit.
yeah, exactly. They're just selling you all these extra amenities. Well, guess what? It's not a vacation. You got to go there and do real work and make life-changing decisions and create better habits and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we need to try to show in these videos. And that's where we're trying to separate ourselves, is we're out there to build trust with people, or show our clients how to build trust with that potential client or that struggling addict. And not just post an ad. Or, for example, with us, we tie our marketing to ROI. So within 3 months, if they're not doubling their money based off our retainer and ad spend, I don't guarantee leads. I guarantee admissions in bed. And I guarantee if we're costing you $20K a month, you're going to be profiting $40K a month, or we actually waive our retainer the following month. So that really goes to show the actual addiction treatment center, like, look, I'm in bed with you guys. We're either gonna succeed together or fail together, and I'm willing to put my money on the line, just like you're putting your money on the line. So that's when I call up and I say, hey, I need an extra video shot, or I need this, I need that, I'm expecting them to jump because, you know, we're both in this together, and I'm not an annoyance. We're partners to succeed together, not some annoying marketing guy that wants a video from you.
Well, I mean, you couldn't even make those claims or promises if you didn't commit to the industry. That's number one. And then number two, just hearing you just talk for about the industry, about the emotional story, about the writing of the script, and then going off script and you tearing up, it shows that now you may not recognize this right this second, or maybe you do, but you're more emotionally attached to the industry that you're going to conquer this shit, that it's now your why. It's like, fuck, it's building in you that like, I gotta help these motherfuckers help motherfuckers that are
Well, yeah,
addicted and change their lives.
absolutely. I come from a long line of addicts, so it is personal to me on many different levels, not just
Yeah.
on a money making, and which I like about it too. You know, I can see these guys change their lives, like I've changed my life, and you know, all kinds of stuff has happened, and I got all kinds of personal stories that can illustrate why it's so personal to me. But yes, it's at the same time, there's fruit from there in terms of money, and I can provide for my family, but it is also personal for me, which I think comes off, which I think when I'm talking to clients, I can relate to them. I mean, it's kind of hard for an outsider, so to speak, to break into that industry. You have to be able to relate and show compassion. You know, if you're the one that, if you're the have the mentality where like, oh, every addict is just making a choice and they deserve what they get, you're not going to get very
It's
far in
not
this
going to be,
industry.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
You're
not
not
going
going
to
to
work
be
out for
empathetic
you.
to it. No,
There's
100%.
definitely hope for everybody.
Yeah, no. Speaking of like helping people making the money, like you mentioned, the emotional connection and the relatability. I mean, it goes back to like when you're picking your industry, pick an industry that you know you're passionate about in some capacity, you have some interest in some capacity, because if you're picking the industry because you can make a boatload of money, I mean the odds that you succeed are going to be very small. And if you pick something that you're passionate about, whether you're passionate about the game of business and the game of success, that's different. That's going to drive you fucking far and wild. But pick an industry that you have some sort of connection to, some sort of, in 5 years from now, I'll anticipate I like it. I just have to make it now work. That's kind of like where people fuck up and then they become like, there. I see a lot of people. So I'm doing handyman today. Then it's like I'm working with auto body shops. Then med spas or whatever. It's like, dude, you're chasing money versus solving a problem. Like you're running away from the actual solution versus blaming the industry. This industry doesn't pay. This industry doesn't do that. You know?
And that's how like when we first got access to these AI powered data tools and stuff and got our licensing in line, that was the first industry we went after. I thought, oh, auto industry, it's going to be super easy. Every auto, I mean, I started doing my research. There's not an auto dealership in anywhere that has less than 5,000 to 10,000 visitors per month. They're relentless and have zero shame in their marketing. They'll email, they'll follow up, they'll do whatever. I'm thinking, okay, this is a home run. In market data up front, feed it in. I'll capture 60% of their website visitors, retarget them. Who would say no to this? And a month or two later, I didn't have one auto dealer client, because what I didn't realize was at the time, all these auto dealerships didn't have any freaking inventory, because it was towards the end of COVID when nobody had inventory. I had all kinds of yeses once we get inventory. And then luckily, I mean, that's when we pivoted and we ended up landing an addiction treatment center because we were still general. We landed the addiction treatment center, found immediate success with it in our data, and realized that there was a blue ocean there, because how many marketing companies claim to be addiction treatment specialists? I haven't found another one. I know there are a couple that exist, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty rare just because it is such a tough industry. Or even like Alvin and I were talking about it, the restrictions and shutting down ad accounts. Like one of our biggest benefits to clients is setting up the omni-channel approach. These addiction treatment centers, 99% of their ad spend goes to Google pay-per-click. Well, what if Google pay-per-click does something wrong or pisses you off? Are you generating leads on Facebook, YouTube? And I mean, we're even getting addiction leads on TikTok now for our clients, display ads, discovery ads. We put 5 or 6 different lines in the water for them. So that way, in case, you know, one of the baits falls off the hook, there's still plenty of fish in there, still plenty of bait in the water.
That's huge. And especially in that medical addiction space, I mean, there's all like the HIPAA compliance is going to get add a feather in the cap. It's hard. It's expensive. Not a lot of people can do it or will do it. Number two is like having an agency that is approved to be able to even work in this category is another factor that nobody knows until it's like, oh, well, you have to have this certification. So there's all these kind of like barriers to entry that even if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to run into them. You're going to fuck up that account anyways, which is why I love the fact that you guys went all in and are going through what you everybody should be doing is picking that niche, mastering it, and getting through any kind of bottlenecks. So you create the barrier to entry by being so good at what you do, and people will look up to you and be like, how the hell did they do it? Pick a niche and go all in, and whatever that niche is, get married to it for a year, and then you will. If you don't give up, you'll win. If you,
because it really and it really does become easier. I mean, now when I get on the phone, I can pull up our data dashboard of one of our clients and say, hey, look, here's, how much are you paying for leads? Oh, we're paying 100. Industry and average for addiction treatment is $100 per click, give or take, on Google pay-per-click leads. So it's like, okay, you're paying $100 per click. Check out these 5 different platforms. I don't have one ad platform that is over $2.50 per click, and we're generating actual phone calls or survey form fills for under $150. You're paying for a click. For what I'm getting an actual detailed information, name, email address, phone number, insurance provider. Are they looking for them or their loved ones? What, are you on Medicare? They're filling out 6-7 questions or picking up the phone and calling for that same $100 where you're just getting a click. And now you get 1,000 clicks and that only 3% are going to convert. So it's once you start doing the math and I can show them the results, it's
because you've committed to the industry. It goes back to the same thing. Now you have data. Now you have lead magnets. Now you have confidence. Now you have case studies. It's like, man, that's just a formula.
Evidence is better than anything else.
Evidence is the fucking best, because so many people walk around with no evidence and then wonder why. So yeah. Now, one thing you mentioned earlier that is the free time, family time. Like, how does that feel from like not being it's all because like not because of the GST. We didn't build your agency. We didn't build everything. We gave you the foundations and the access to the training and all that. But like, how important is that free time now that you've gone all in, you've got the systems, you've got the processes, you've gone through the getting punched in the mouth enough times? How's that family time?
Yeah, I mean, the family time's been great. That's why I got into the marketing business and got out of the mortgage business years ago, is for the free time. So I don't know if I have, still working quite a bit as we're trying to build this, but I think I'm doing higher level tasks. So instead, perfect example, Angie. I mean, in the past, in my free time or when I had extra time, I loved how you would always say, like, I'd be sitting picking up my kids, waiting 10 minutes. I would jump on my phone and send out 10 LinkedIn messages, send out an Instagram, IG, DM, or something like that, like always trying to make best use of my time. But now I don't have to do that. Now I sit in my car and I'll listen to a Hormozy podcast or listen to a GSD training because I know Angie's already made 100 cold connections for me, or, hit all her stats during the day on all these different social platforms. So now instead of going back and doing things like that, I'm now trying to figure out what's next. Like, that's really my job in this company now, is to figure out what's next. Alvin and our 4 team members, SOPs, fulfillments, all that's falling into place. Angie's bringing in business for me to set up and close as it comes in. And now it's really just me trying to figure out what's next for the business. What are we thinking of that we don't? What don't we know now that we need to know? That type of stuff.
I mean, that value of thinking, like the number one, I was reading an article by some psychologists about like high performers, pretty much like people who are former athletes that are now owners of businesses. The mind can't stop. The mind can't stop thinking. You wake up like at 100 miles an hour, you go to bed at 100 miles an hour, you got all these wild thoughts. The number one way to success is stop. It's patience. It's slow down. Like, you need that. Like, you're in that point right now. The think time is, you're getting paid to think now. You're not getting paid to go get another client. You're getting paid to come up with that idea that is going to be the ascension model of your existing clients, or it's going to be the bigger idea that's going to make that, it's going to be worth that $3-5 million idea in a year or two from now. So that's kind of like the value of just slowing it down, because when we're always in a fast, we have too many tabs open. The email didn't get sent, the DM got started, but you have to hit send. The contract you're supposed to send yesterday is still open. Like you have all these missed errors because you're going so fast. So I value the slowdown. As fast as we like to run, we love to like just chill, a little composure, a little breathing.
Yeah, it's nice. I try to, like, with the family time, I have two sons. They are all in on lacrosse, so it's lacrosse practice every day.
Yeah,
I
I
was
see
just
that.
I was just in Maryland last weekend for a lacrosse tournament with my 11-year-old. And it's a blast. I mean, I have so many memories and experiences with my kids to last a lifetime just from traveling around and doing that kind of stuff. So yes, it's nice to have that freedom, the team in place. And then, as you know, it's nice to be able to, flip open my laptop. My son and I land in DC. We go visit the White House. I was 40 years old when I saw the White House for the first time. My 11-year-old has seen it twice in the last 6 months. So I joke around. I was like, when I die, I want to come back as you, kid.
Yeah.
But at the
And
same
then,
time, I flip open my laptop, I answer some emails, I work in the hotel once we get there. And that's the type of, you're never really off in this business because you are the boss. You are responsible for things, but the ability to pick and choose and find people to take those, mundane type of $10 an hour tasks off your plate is huge and key.
awesome, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. I want to ask you this though. Like, there's a lot of people out there that aren't getting the help that they need and deserve. Whether it's for they don't believe in something, they don't think they can afford something, they've tried, they've failed, they've gone with somebody else and not getting where they want. For that type of person, like, what do you tell them about like possibly considering the GSD as an option to reach out to us?
I mean, I would say it's almost a necessity, right? Nobody's going to do this by themselves. So you have to jump in with somebody or trust somebody to help you throughout the way. And I admit, when Alvin and I partnered up, Alvin was already a member of you guys, and it took like 6 months, like, just because I was the egotistical, SOB that knew everything. And I was just like, this guy, Cody and Raul, whatever. And it took several months for you guys to kind of earn my trust or earn the, earn my trust to want to watch you guys and engage with you guys. But then once I did, I was just like, well, shit, I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have listened to Alvin, because do I think you guys have the answer to everything? No, but I like that you guys don't think you have the answer to everything. And I think your biggest benefit, Raul, is just the ideas. Like, you'll spit out 10 fucking rock star ideas, and if somebody can just implement 2 of them, you're golden, right? You don't need, and I think that's where people get overwhelmed, is you don't have to do everything that you suggest, because if you listen, you talk fast, you suggest a lot, you throw a lot out there. My suggestion is to get involved and pick out what resonates with you and then roll with that. You don't have to do everything. But there's a ton of golden nuggets, whether it's this call or every call you guys do. I'll jump in and watch the Facebook lives in the background while I'm working and stuff. And all it takes is just one thing to be like, I'll literally be like writing copy, and then Cody will say something. I'll be like, oh, fuck, that was good. And then I'll adjust my copy a little bit. But that one little adjustment to the copy was worth my hour of time listening to you guys talk. So I don't know specifically what somebody will get from engaging with you, but I know for a fact it will be valuable. And you just have to open your ears and eyes and, watch and listen and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, tell the voice in the head that is causing all that fear to shut the fuck up. Like, put success to conquer the fear. So yeah, if you do want to like jump on a call or whatnot, jump on with my team. The worst that can happen is that you learn something that can make you a lot of money from one of the golden nuggets we drop, which is going to be on every single call. We already know that. And I give the guy on that picture, which is a little blurred out, it's my dad. He engraved that in my head as a child, because he was the example. When he needed something, he already knew he was buying into a room. He would pay $100,000 to be part of a networking group where we didn't have Zoom, or he didn't have Zoom back then. You had to physically fly to New York or South Carolina, or not at all. So it wasn't like paying $100,000 to be in the room. It was like, pay the fees to get there too, and your fucking food and your taxis and cell phone bills, which were briefcases back then at $5 a minute or whatever. But the value of the idea was, if he learned one thing in his business that he can run with, that's his 10 or $20 million idea. That was his mentality. I have to find the right rooms, the smarter people, but the smarter the people, they're going to give you the concept and the idea, and you run with it. And once you run with it and you trust it and you get the help to nurture it, that's your $1 million idea. And that's how you avoid shiny object syndrome.
What I like about your guys' dynamic too is that, like, for example, 90% of my interaction with the GSD group is with yourself, because you're more of the idea, the sales guy. You and I are just more on the same page. But then Alvin's always talking about how, oh, Cody mentioned this, because Cody's, more of, I guess, the campaign manager, kind of high level, more of a techie guy, which is Alvin is to my team. So we get both the best worlds, where it's not just like, hey, this is a sales training company, or then you throw Ben in there, helping out with the appointment setters and that kind of stuff. It's kind of an all-inclusive. It's not like, hey, this is my sales trainer, then this is my agency trainer. You kind of get the best of both worlds all wrapped into one, nice little bow, with your guys' group there, which is what I like about it too. I don't have to have multiple coaches for the agency. It's all in one place. Then you don't have to continue to explain yourself. You guys know what the hell is going on. You know what we're doing. It's all just kind of smooth and cohesive and friendly and, fun to work with. And that's what I like about it.
No, I appreciate all that. And one thing I don't like to see is people on calls that they shouldn't be on, or like I like seeing the setters, because my job here is to kind of get everybody in our GSD to grow to that next level. Because people get shiny object syndrome within the GSD, because we cover a vast majority of what a lot of people have to offer as individual courses or coaching. So we make sure that everybody stays on target too. But also the calls that people shouldn't be on, we want to make sure we identify those too, because we want the staff, because we want to build that Henry Ford power plant within an agency. It's like roles, responsibilities, and SOPs. So lead comes in, qualified salesperson, delivery, customer service, upsell, rinse, repeat, and everything goes in this merry-go-round fashion. So that's kind of like what we ultimately teach to everybody, is that merry-go-round, so we can kind of have that predictability, take control, become a CEO, and then free up our time. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing all this shit for? We're not doing it because we want to die with like 8 digits, 9 digits in our bank account. We're doing it for primarily one reason. It all lands down to is freedom, but then the real reason is family. Like, you want to spend more time with your fucking family, because I know so many people that don't even know their fucking kids. They've never been to a soccer game. They've never been to a basketball game. And if they are, they're on the goddamn phone. It's like, is that going to be worth it in 10 years? Is that going to be worth that you didn't watch your fucking kid play basketball as a kid, and now he's going to be going to college and you never really knew his friends' parents, right? That's not the fun shit,
I agree. And that takes some sacrifice too. Cause I mean, if all I did was work 60, 70 hours a week and, was a shitty father, then I'm sure I could already have some of these financial goals achieved. But yeah, it's not worth it. When you die, you can't take any of that with you. And, I want to make sure my kids have a lifetime of memories with me, not just, frankly, I'm looking at it like, I'm not worried. My kids are rock stars. They're straight A students. They excel at sports. Like, I don't need to leave them a ton of money. I just need to make sure they're good, solid individuals that can go succeed on their own. I don't want to raise a kid that's going to be reliant on me for the rest of my life. I want them to go be 10 times better than I ever was at everything, and do it all on their own. Not like, oh, well, he got a loan from dad, or he just, I'll help you any way you can, but you can fully succeed on your own. And I think that's the key. And maybe that's where some of these parents miss the boat, where they focus so much on, oh, I got to give my kid a $10 million inheritance. How about give your kid $10 million worth of experience and value and knowledge that they can go make their own $10 million? I think that's the ultimate goal, or that should be the focus of parents, less how much they can make for themselves.
I love it. Well, my man, thank you for hopping on here. Everybody
in
the stream.
I got an awesome HIPAA certification training at 1 o'clock here next. So I'd much rather talk to you for the next hour. Trust me.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But thank you so much for sharing your experience, sharing the journey. I know that there's a lot wrapped up into here. So like the audience, there's a golden nugget in here. It's finding and identifying what that is and running with it. But definitely, if you are stuck, you do need help. Like we're a rehabilitation facility for agencies and coaches that need that help, right?
There you go.
So we'll help you get to that next level. We'll help you get to that stage that you want, where you can have that free time and family time. So thanks everybody for watching. Jason, thank you